Good morning. What a beautiful morning to be out. It's almost spring morning, a couple more weeks till spring, but it's starting to feel like it, and it's just a gorgeous morning. I'm out by a local lake. I was out looking for bald eagles and figured I'd come look out here a little bit. While I was out here looking for the eagles, I was able to see quite a few Northern Pintails. It's a species of duck that I've been wanting to photograph for quite a while now. Beautiful birds. I don't have any pictures of them, so I noticed some. I came back out this morning to see if they're still hanging around, and they are. They're off a little ways. They seem incredibly skittish. Because they're so flighty and skittish, you know what that means. I'll be taken back to my floating blind. I did a video a little while ago looking for some golden-eyed ducks, and so I'll be doing something similar, trying to get these Northern Pintails. Beautiful, beautiful birds. Well, that was a complete and utter failure. I came out this morning to try to get those pintails in my floating blind. You know, I'm sitting there waiting for them to come in, and they never came in. And then the wind started, and the waves on the lake started, and eventually what happened is the water got so rough, it actually, the hole that I stand in my floating blind, it actually came in and splashed up, and it poured down into my waders, and a lot of it actually got up onto some of my gear. I'm gonna go clean everything off. The birds never came in. I saw a couple flying around in a different area in the lake, but the spot where I saw them in yesterday, nothing came in. Attempt number 3 with these pintails, and still nothing. I'm going to do a little bit more scouting here and just kind of reanalyze everything, see if I can figure out a good way to photograph these guys, because man, they're being tricky. So I'm just gonna keep going at it, and I know I'll get my pictures. It just might take a lot longer than I thought it would, but you know, that's the joy of this. It's just getting outside and problem solving, and the reward generally tends to make up for everything else. So I'll keep going at it, and we'll see what we can get. Hey guys, good morning. I'm out here again trying to photograph these Northern Pintails. It's hard to believe it's been over a year already since I started trying to photograph these guys, and I still don't have any pictures of them. I've got a couple like super far away images, nothing that I'm proud of, so I'm back out here again trying to photograph them. I'm out here right now in a natural blind that I made out of the reeds in the area. I've noticed over the past couple days that these pintails have been in the area, so I came out here, put this blind together, got out here super early this morning, just hoping that they would come out and I'd be able to photograph them. And I got out here when it was still dark, and I heard, you know, some of the birds start to come in, but they weren't coming in this area, and I was a little confused as to why. But now that it's light, I can see why they're not. There's a bunch of ice in the area, and there's nowhere for the birds to land. There's a couple little unfrozen pools just out here that I was hoping the birds would land in, but I haven't had anything yet. They're all like a quarter mile away, and so I'm just sitting here, just waiting, and all the birds are out there just taunting me, literally. They're all having a great time, a big old party out there. But I'm just sitting here waiting with nothing. Just me in the cold, no birds, but you know what? I'm just gonna wait here, and hopefully they'll come in. Guys, I think I'm gonna call it a day. The ducks have moved off now. You know, these natural blinds are fantastic for photography as long as there's animals in front of you to photograph, which this morning there's not. It just makes it hard with this ice. This time of year's just a little bit tricky to photograph these birds out here using a natural blind like this, because this ice, I mean, it moves around from day to day. If it gets cold, you know, new sections of water that weren't frozen before become frozen. If it's warmer, some of the previously frozen areas thaw out. So, I mean, you can scout it out and try to figure out a spot, but the next morning it could be completely different. So it's just a little bit tricky. But yeah, I think I'm gonna keep moving and scout out some other areas, see if I can find some more consistent areas for these pintails where they're hanging out. So in this week's video, I wanted to show you guys a little bit more of the process that goes into getting some of these pictures. In a lot of my videos, I try to show this process without completely boring you to death, just because a lot of work goes into getting the pictures that we photographers get. You guys know just as well as I do, if you're out there with the camera trying to get pictures, it's a lot of work trying to photograph some of these animals. So this week I wanted to take you along for a little bit more of the process of all the different methods that I'm trying to use to get these pintails, just the different things that I'm doing to try to photograph them, just because it's been such a journey for me, and I'd love to take you guys along. I will condense it down a little bit just so you're not bored out of your skull, but I did want to show you guys a little bit more of the process and just the fun stuff that I see along the way. And hopefully we'll get some pictures of these pintails, because they have been a huge goal of mine for so long, and I've just been wanting to photograph them. So I'm really hoping that this year is the year that I get them, because they are just such beautiful, beautiful birds. So I'm gonna keep going and come up with another plan on how to hopefully photograph these guys. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the journey of this video. I'm excited to hopefully finally get my pictures of these guys. So let's keep going and hopefully come up with another plan here to get these guys. Hey guys, good morning. So my plan in coming out this morning was similar to some of these other mornings. What I've been doing is, you know, coming out and hiding myself in that natural blind that I made. I was going to do that this morning and just hope that the pintails came in. But I got out here this morning and the water is just completely frozen. There's a couple little pools further out on the ice that are not frozen, and I've noticed a lot of the pintails out in those, but they're extremely far away, and there's just no way for me to approach without being noticed. There's no cover for me to hide myself with as I approach. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bother those pintails. I have noticed though that occasionally some will fly by a little bit closer to where I'm at. So my plan, what I'm going to do is, I've got some reeds back here. I'm going to hide myself back in these reeds and try to get some flight shots of these guys as they come by. It's really all I've got to work with right now, but you know, it's just, it would be awesome if I could get some flight shots of them. And I'm just making the most with what I've got. So let's go do that and see what we can get. You know, this actually hasn't been too bad. I've had a few ducks pass by. Nothing super close, still pretty far out, and the groups are getting smaller and smaller, so it's just, you know, a few ducks at a time now. But I've been able to get some pictures of them. Again, still pretty far out, but you know, the light got really good there for a synket, and I was able to get some decent pictures of them. I'm just making the most of what I've got to work with here. And it's just great being out here. We're finally getting some snow and some winter weather, so it's just been great being out here. But I'm gonna keep heading this way, I think. I've noticed most of the ducks now, they're coming this way, and they're flying over here somewhere, so I'm gonna head over that way and see what I can find. If I can find an area where they're all grouped together, then I can update my plans and hopefully get the pictures that I'm after here. So yeah, I'm gonna head that way and let's see what we can get. Alright, this spot right here looks pretty promising. I've got a decent sized area of unfrozen water here, and this seems to be where all the birds are gathering. I've got some pintails here, I've got some mallards, there's a bunch of gulls here, so just all sorts of birds seem to be gathering in the spot. There's even a pelican out there, I think. So what I'm going to do is wait for them to move off a little bit, and then I'm going to get a little bit closer to where they're hanging out now. There's all these reeds along this area. I'm going to set up another natural blind in these reeds, just as close to the ground, as close to the water as possible. That way, first thing in the morning, I can get in before it's light and hopefully just be in a good spot to get these guys, assuming they come back tomorrow. Yeah, that's my plan for now. I'm really hoping this spot works because these pintails are just giving me the runaround. It's been a lot of work, and I'm just hoping to get some pictures of them. This is an awesome area though, and I haven't photographed here before. I haven't done a lot of exploring here, so I'm happy that I found this little spot, this little nook, and I'm hoping that it'll work out tomorrow. Alright guys, I've got some good news and some bad news. The birds have moved off, and so I came down here to set up the natural blind. Bad news is, when I got down here, the water level is much lower than the bank. And so I've got the water level down here, the bank's all the way up here, and it kind of slopes up, and that's where the reeds are. So if I were to set up in these reeds like I was planning on doing, I'll be shooting down at the birds, which personally I really don't like to do. So this spot's not going to work like I hoped it would. Good news is though, I just saved 15% on my car. Sorry, okay, just kidding. Good news is, the water here is actually deep enough where I could set up my floating blind here. When I tried to use it last year, the water was much too shallow, I couldn't move it around, and the area that I set that floating blind up in, where the pintails were, it got really choppy each day that I went out there, and it was splashing water up into my waders, up into my camera gear. Just wasn't a good scenario. The water here is extremely calm, and it's got a little bit of a flow to it, and so there's no ice here whatsoever, which is going to be awesome. And like I said, it's deep enough so I can actually use the blind here. So I think this is going to be a great spot. I'm excited for it. I'm hoping it'll work. I've been excited about a lot of these plans so far, and none of them have worked yet, but I've got a good feeling about this spot. So I'm gonna run home, get my floating blind, get it all set up hopefully before these birds come back for the evening, and I'll be in it first thing tomorrow morning. Guys, I am so happy right now. I'm like giddy with joy right now.